Welcome everybody. Welcome. This is Dragonor 2009. I'm going to give you part 3 of the HTML and CSS tutorial. If you guys remember last time, this is where we left off. We have this plain website here, just some basic paragraph tags and images, bullet list here, pictures of course, and we have a little bit of advanced stuff, which would be the option list and some other things, as well as a footer. And what we're going to plan on doing is we want to convert this website from looking like that to looking like this. And it's really not that hard. It's pretty easy. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Basically, we're going to get everything aligned here with these images, with the images floating here with the navigation list, looking all nice and sharp, as well as the sidebar here. These ads we're going to place up here, the selection list here, and all these other things that you see. So let's start from top to bottom. First thing I want to do is I'm going to create the body to get this space over here, because you notice we don't have any space. And then I'm going to work on this image, the main container of course, as well as this navigation list. So let's go ahead and start in order, just like that. First thing you want to do is you want to go to File, New, File, Save As. And you want to name this whatever you want to name it. A lot of people name their cascading style sheets by just style sheet. So let's go ahead and do that. Style sheet.css. Go ahead and look for the CSS within your drop down menu. It should say cascading style sheet file. Click on it, save it where your HTML file is, and you're ready to begin. Now what cascading style sheets does, of course, it changes the style of the website, the HTML, based on the tags. So if you guys remember, I had a body tag, so I'm going to go ahead and change the body tag. Remember, it was a body tag that looked like this, right? And then you had your and body, like that. Well, what I'm going to do in my style sheet is I'm going to style that by typing body and placing this open bracket symbol, like that. I'm going to space it a few times just so it looks organized. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it some rules. Well, for example, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to put a width to it, right? I'm going to make it 98%. And you guys probably wonder, well, why did I pick 90% as opposed to 100? I don't really have a very good answer for you. All I know is 90% always worked out the best for me. It's always given me the best best thing for the elements to line up. I don't know. It's just something I've always done. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to set a minimum width and a maximum width. Well, if I could spell, minimum width. And I'm going to set the minimum width to 900 pixels and the maximum width to 1050 pixels. And you might be wondering, well, why on earth are you doing that? Well, the reason for that is people have obviously different computer resolution sizes, different computer screens. And of course, some people's laptops can see larger, whereas other people have smaller notebooks or whatever. And so you want to be able to appeal to everybody, or try to at least. And if you didn't set a minimum and maximum, what would happen is if you had someone who had an extremely large laptop, at least the screen is large, it's going to open up the web page that you're creating, but it's going to distort everything on there. And the reason for that is because you position everything based on the resolution you're at your computer right now. So it's going to distort things if it was larger, if that makes any sense, or smaller for that matter. Well, not really so much smaller, but larger. So that's why you want to set a minimum and max. Otherwise, the browser will determine that, and sometimes it's not pretty. So you always want to set that. And you want to go ahead and set the font family to whatever, I don't know, I'm going to pick Verdana, Times New Roman, and I don't know, sans serif. And you guys are probably wondering, why do I got to pick 3 of them? Well, the reason why is because if you didn't set anything at all, the browsers have a default font. I don't know what they are. They're different compared to whatever browser you're using, whether it's Opera or Google Chrome or something. But if I say Verdana, then it's going to load Verdana. Unless the browser doesn't support it, then it'll go to the next one, which will be Times New Roman. If it doesn't support that, it'll go to the next one. If all three of them, which I've never heard of a browser not supporting sans serif, but whatever, if all three of them are not being supported, and then it'll go to whatever the default browser type is. Maybe it's Arial Black or something. I don't know. So that's how that works. But of course, you know, this is your website, so you want to create your own font. I mean, you want it to be set. You want to set your own font. You don't want the browser to do it for you. So that's why we're doing it. Font weight, I'm going to set to normal. And font size, just like you were in a Word document, you know, you could pick 10, 16, 18, 10, 12, whatever pixels. I'm going to set mine for 16 pixels. Okay, this is really important. Margin 0 pixels, auto, 0 pixel, auto. And that's it for that. Now, I need to make sure I put this colon here real quick, guys. Okay, what does this do? Well, what this does is a rule to follow is called I'm going to write it down. TRBL. I'll probably write it down in a bigger box too. But TRBL stands for top, right, bottom, left. So top, 0 pixels, auto, which auto adjusts itself, bottom, 0 pixels, and auto again. Now, why do I have 2 autos? Simple. If I have 2 autos in a row, it automatically centers the body that I'm trying to do. So it's kind of a, it's kind of a trick, I guess, to CSS. But I could have picked 5 pixels. I could have put 10 pixels here, whatever. Now, to make this shorter, I could actually delete this and just do this, and I'll be fine. And this stands for top and bottom, and this stands for right and left. Okay? So we're going to do that, and I think that's... Well, no, I'm going to add a border too, because I want to show you guys what just happened. 1 pixel, solid, black. I might get rid of this later, but just for the purpose of this tutorial. And we're going to go ahead and save it. Now, I'm going to go to our website that we're doing, and it's probably not going to load here. No, it did. Okay. And what you always need to do, I don't know if I showed you this, you always want to put this in your HTML. Link for ref equals stylesheet.css, rel equals stylesheet, type equals text/CSS. I couldn't remember if I put that in there already. But if you don't have that in there, you want to make sure you do that. Where did I get this name from? Well, it's simple. It's what I named this. So this links your CSS document so the HTML can read it, so the browser can read it, okay? Alright. Next order of business is I want to do the main container. Oops. I wonder why I did that. Okay. Now remember, it's an ID, so we got to use a slash symbol or a number symbol, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to give it some rules here. Width 100%. And I want to give it a background image. It's going to be called URL images/background.png. And I'm going to show you exactly how I got that. If you look at our folder, I go to my images folder, and I have something named background.png right here. If you see that, background.png. So that's why you got that. And it's going to look exactly like the image there. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go back so we can get organized here. And I'm going to reload this. And as you can see, I don't know if you guys see this or not, it's a little light colored, but we have a background image to this. Also, if you notice, from what we did with the body, like I was showing you before, we got the margins all fixed, as well as we changed all these fonts here. If you notice, the fonts changed. So that's kind of nice. We're on our way. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Let's see. That's all I want for the main container. What's next? I want to go ahead and fix this. If you notice, this heading right here is not not right. So I want to fix this header image. So let's go ahead and do that. If I were to go to my HTML, I look at what I named the ID. So I know it's going to be a hashtag or hash mark. And it was called header image. Okay, so simply put, header image. I'm going to open up the slash or the squiggly thing, whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and give it some rules as well. I'm going to put width 100% because I want it to be straight across. And I'm going to give it a height because it's obviously too big. Looks pretty bulky, kind of big looking. So I'm going to give it, I don't know, 225 pixels. Or whatever. I don't know. That's fine. And we're going to end it. And if I save it, it should have filled this out and reduced the height. Let's see if it did. And it did. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, obviously, is I want to work from top to bottom. So I want to get these navigation lists. I want to get rid of these underlines as well as these bullets here. Change the colors of them. Put circles around them. Actually, more like a circle square type of thing. You'll see. And I want to put them horizontal next to each other, which is going to be an inline block element. So let's go ahead and show you how that works. Nav dot horizontal nav. And I'm going to give this, well, let's start with a border. 1 pixel solid black. I don't even know if I'm going to even use this, but text align. I'll definitely use this. Center. This is going to center all this text over here and place it in the center. And I want to put a background color. RGB stands for red, green, brown, and I'm going to give it a value. In this case, it's going to be 220, 201, and 180. And you guys are probably thinking, well, where'd you come up with that number? And I'll go ahead and show you. Go ahead and save. First, I'll show you what it looked like. Bam. See, I got a little background color here. I centered everything. And I just want to show you guys where I got that. You can go to html-color-codes.info, and as you can see, if I pick a color, or if I pick something green, whatever, you'll notice it gives me an RGB value to it. You just plug those in, and that's what you get. Pretty simple. Okay, within this within this horizontal nav that we created, well, there's other things too. There's the anchor text, there's the list item, and the unordered list tag that we need to style as well. We'll start from the simplest one. So let's go ahead, nav.horizontal nav unordered list. If you guys remember, the unordered list, which is right here. That's what we're styling next. And this one is going to be, well, rather simple. It's just going to be list style none. We'll go ahead and save, and you'll see exactly what just happened. It should have gotten rid of all those bullets. And it did. It got rid of those bullets, as you can see. Now I want to get rid of the underline, and after that I'm going to center everything horizontal because that's like the best part. So, okay, nav dot horizontal, and I'm coming back to these two, by the way. I'm just trying to do things in somewhat of a order fashion, I guess. I don't know. Like a list item anchor text, text decoration. And I'm going to put none, and that should get rid of the underline. And also, I can, well, I'll go ahead and save it so you guys see that. Reload. Bam, I got rid of all these underlines. Now we'll go ahead and put them horizontal like they should be, because that's what it looks like on our finished product. Everything's horizontal, as you can see. So we'll go ahead and do that. How would I do that? Well, I go to nav.horizontal nav, and just the LI. I did the LIA last time of the anchor text. I'm going to open up that bracket there. I'm going to put display inline block. And I'm going to show you there's different displays. You have inline block, inline, and you got block, and none. There's also other displays for tables and stuff, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm only going to focus on the ones that we're using this, potentially we would use. But basically what it is let me go ahead and save this, or close this tag here and save this. What blocks are is if you think of these as blocks, and they go straight across. That's basically what it is, okay? If you set it for inline block, what it is these things are treated as a box around these. Best way I can put it is I'll put a border in here so you'll see exactly what I mean. Let me go ahead and do that. Border, I don't know, 1 pixel solid green. Okay. Hit save, reload. Okay. You see how first of all, by putting it in line, it puts everything next to each other, just like it would on anything else. Now, if I would have set that to block, I'm going to show you guys what happens. If I set that to block, it's going to go up and down like it was already. But you notice how the whole thing here is, that's why I put that border so I could show you. This whole thing is a block here, because it treats like the entire thing as a block. That's why I didn't want to use block elements. Now, would you ever use block elements? Yes. Actually, the time you would use a block element is if you had a navigation list that's vertical. In which case, I would set the width to this to, I don't know, 70 pixels or something. I'd play around with it, and it would end these blocks to that. But if you're making a horizontal nav, the standard to use is the inline block element. That's the best way I can describe it to you guys. But actually, I want to make this 5 pixels. Solid green, and I want to change, obviously I'm going to change this back to inline block, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of continue on here. I'm going to go back to my A here, my anchor tags, or anchor list, whatever, anchor words. I'm going to go text, oh, I'm sorry, color, color RGB. Let's go with 255, 255, and 99. And we'll go ahead and do like this. We'll set the background color to, let's see, RGB, I don't know, whatever, 100. Oops. 100, 200, and 100. I'll go ahead and save it so we can see the progress. Because if I do too much of these style rules, you guys might not see what happens individually. So I'm just going to go ahead and reload it and save it so you guys can just, virtually see everything. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly what just happened. This yellow color here that you see, that was set from this RGB 255, 25599. Again, I showed you guys the RGB things, whatever. And this background color was set from in the back there, as you can see in the back. So, like, if I were to get rid of this, just so you all can see, hit Control X, hit Save. See how you see that color disappear back there? Well, obviously I want it there because it brings things out. So that's what that does. Now, also, I want to, if you notice from my other web page here, it's a lot bigger. So I want to set the font size to these, as well as I'm going to put a, make this more circular looking. So it looks more like buttons. So how do I do this? Well, first thing I want to do is I want to change the font size. Font size to, what, I don't know, 16 pixels, I guess. Also, if you want to change the font family, you can do that too. Maybe you want to put everything at Times New Roman. It's up to you. So we change the font size, and I'm going to do what is called border radius. That's going to put the little circles here on the borders, make them more circular, depending on what the type of radius I give it. So if I only give it 5 pixels, for example, and I'll go ahead and show you that. Go ahead and hit save, go back to our regular page, reload, and plus I remember I increased the size. You notice, well, see, I hit the wrong one. Let me cut this out. Cut. I need to put this over here. Alright, go ahead and save. Okay, now if you look, notice that it kind of changed these up a little bit. That's what that radius does. So it's really nice to have, but of course I want to get a little bit bigger than that. I'll put 25 pixels to it, and you'll really notice the difference now. Notice how more circular it is? That's why we do that. Now obviously, you know, looking at this compared to what we have on our website here, it's a lot bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do that. So the next thing on the agenda is I'm going to add a, let's see, how am I going to make that bigger? I'm going to go padding. That's how I'll do it. Padding, let's say 10 pixels. Hit save. Reload. Bam. See how it did that? Now you can change the padding around to where it sets all that as well. Now, you guys notice the background color is for the A tags there. So actually that was the wrong place to put that. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to where it's supposed to go. So let me go ahead and take this out. Go ahead and hit cut. And put this under the list item. It's actually a better, more appropriate place to put it. Put save and reload. Notice how it filled everything in. That's actually what I wanted to do. I just happened to make a mistake there. Put it in the wrong spot. But now as you can see, everything is starting to look kind of like what we have here. So that's kind of nice. I guess really we're not missing anything. The only thing we're missing, if you look at this, is when I put my mouse over this, you notice it turns white. So that's the next thing we'll do. So let's go ahead and knock that out. But I might make it a different color just for this tutorial. But what you want to do is you need to make a separate rule for that, unfortunately. It's going to be nav horizontal, nav a hover, just like that. Okay? And you want to go ahead and open this up, and you want to put, I don't know, color red or something, whatever you want to put. We'll go ahead and save it, and we'll see what the progress is. Now if you notice I hover over it, it turns red. Or I could have set for blue or pink or whatever. Alright, so what's the next thing on our agenda here? If you look, you notice that this doesn't have any space like this does. So that's probably the next thing I want to do. And then I think after that we're pretty well done with our navigation list. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Okay, and to do this, guys, well, again, to reiterate, to get this spacing back to where we want it, you want to go to your folder here, and you want to get rid of this border. I just put that there just to show you guys things, but really I don't need it. It's kind of silly putting it there. Go ahead, save, and I'm gonna. This is interesting. What's going to happen? Save. Just to kind of show you what happens. It gets rid of this border, but however, we got this gap here, and obviously that gap looks pretty ugly looking. But at least we fixed the spacing problem, and I want to show you exactly what you would do in a situation like this. You would put what's called top, and you have to give it a negative amount. I think it's 20 pixels. I think will work. You hit save, hit reload. And notice it didn't go anywhere. Okay, now this is really key, guys. It's going to go 20 pixels, but here's the problem why it did not go there. Because, and I purposely left this out, because when you position something, because it's a great time to talk about this. When you position something, it's automatically by default in static mode. Okay, and static means it is where it is, and that's it. Okay, there's 4 different positions that I know of. Static, which would default is, it's just how it would normally would have appeared anyway. Then there's absolute, which is relative to the parent element, I guess is a good way to say it, with the coordinates of 0, 0. And then there's relative position, which means it goes by whatever attributes you put in there would move the relative position. So in other words, I put top -20, therefore the relativity of the object is going to move. I'm not very good at explaining this. I have to show you. And then there's fixed. Fixed is interesting. Fixed is the position that's on the window browser, or on the browser window. A great example about fixed is if you wanted to, you know how you have like Facebook and Twitter and Reddit, RSS or whatever it is, social icons you have here, and every time you would move your scroll, the social icons follow you. That's what you use fixed for. Fixed doesn't follow the rules of the browser. It doesn't follow the scrolling rules or anything like that. So that's like a good example of where you would use fixed at. But for this example, we're going to use relative, and the reason why, of course, is because I went and put a value in here where I want to move it. So go ahead, save, and now it should move it. And sure enough, it did. And 20 pixels looked like it was just enough. You can always play around with it, if it's a little bit was still showing, or maybe a little too far up, whatever the case is. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end this tutorial right now until the next part, part 4. Part 4, we're going to continue on with all these headline tags, these paragraph tags, all the way down to make things look really nice here. And we'll see how far we get in part 4. Hopefully I'll be able to finish in part 4. If not, we'll do part 5. So this is Dragonor 2009, and I'll see you then. See you later.